Okay guys, so now let's go ahead and create our products API slice so that we can make a request to the backend and then fetch all of the products and also the specific product. Alright, so I hope it's clear until this point. If you have any questions, you can just let me know in the comments, so I'll just try to answer them. Alright, so now we have already built this endpoints property, okay, so which takes in a builder object where we can create various API requests, okay, which takes in an object, and so we can write every kind of request here itself within this. So I just want to mess up this file, so I want to create another slice for specifically for products, users and orders. So and then later we'll be injecting them using this API slice, which has a method called inject endpoints. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So in our slices folder, let's create a folder called products API slice.js. Okay, so let's now import our products URL and the API slice. So import API slice. Okay, and now let's import the products URL, that is the constants that we created in the last video. So this one, let's do that. Import products URL. Okay, good. And now let's go ahead and create our function, that is uh, products API slice. Okay, and set that equal to API slice dot, this has a method called inject endpoints. Okay, so this actually takes in an object with the builder. Okay, so now we have this endpoints. Okay, that will, this is the main, this is the parent. Okay, so these are all its children. So we can just extend this by making different endpoints over here. So I can just copy that and paste it over here. So whatever we endpoints we inject here, so it will mainly, it will basically go and yeah, add to this API slice which is a parent, and which later will be connected to the store and our main application. All right, so now let's go ahead and create a function, sorry, a property called get products. Okay, and this is equal to the builder that we actually get this as a parameter, builder dot query. All right, and this will basically take in a query. Since we are querying, so we are going to use query. If you are using any kind of like mutations with like any kind of like post request, like sending data or manipulating the database, then we use mutation. All right, so this will take in a function. Okay, I am going to use a instant return. All right, and the URL we need to mention. So this is what makes it very cool, so that we don't have to create another actions folder and then make different kinds of requests out there. And you have to set the loading state, the error state, everything. It's a pain actually, so this makes it a lot easier. All right, so it is as simple as this. It is very intuitive. We can just go ahead and you can get to know what exactly it is doing. All right, so I had to give a comma here. Okay, okay, export const. Okay, after this I have this another property called keep unused data for. Okay, so keep unused data for, and set this to 5 seconds, which means that it will revalidate for every 5 seconds. Okay, so basically what this does is we can just hover on this and we can have a look. So this is for the Redux toolkit query. So suppose if you have an endpoint and then unmount the component and then mount another component, so the same request will be done within the given time frame. So the most recent value will be served from the cache. Okay, so this is a very good user experience, and it does not have to make the request again, so it will use a cached one. So if there is any different, it will go ahead and fetch that again. All right, so this is a very cool feature. So finally we have done the get products endpoint. Okay, so now let's go ahead and export this. So export const, and the convention of using this is something like use get products query. Okay, this get products that we actually created over here will be that, and also the method if it is a query or a mutation. Okay, so that is coming from the products API slice. Okay, products API slice. So we have exported that. So we are destructuring this particular value. Okay, so if you don't understand anything, you can just go ahead and console log this, and we can directly destructure this, and we can use the methods that react the Redux toolkit query gives us. All right, so it has some cool features, like we don't have to set the manually set the is loading state, and also the error if it has any. Instead of, we used to make an axios request, okay, in our home screen. So now let's get rid of that, and we can go ahead and import the thing which we exported, okay, that is use get products query, okay, just like that. And now we can get rid of this. So we don't even need any state and this use effect hook. So everything internally it is done using Redux toolkit query. So now let's grab few things. Okay, we are going to grab the data. Okay, and we are going to rename this as products. Okay, so we get data in the form of products. Okay, so we can rename like that, and we can get the is loading state from this get product use get products query. And also I can get the error, okay, not console error. Okay, so that is coming from this use get products query, which is a function which we need to invoke it. All right, so now we have done everything, and we just need to set the state. Okay, if it is loading, we have to show a loader, and if it is any error, then we can show some exception, and then we can if everything is good, then we can render out our products. All right, so now let's open up our expression and give this is loading, and later we'll be creating a spinner. Okay, so let's for now uh, let's give it a bracket. Okay, so if it is loading, then do something. So else, if there is any error, then do something. Or if there's nothing, then just go ahead what did I do, then just go ahead and render out our products. All right, so I'm just going to cut this and then paste it inside here, so that we don't have any errors or any loading state. Okay, so there is a problem. Let's go ahead and fill this up. So we are going to give a h1 tag saying loading dot dot dot. Okay, and if there's any error, we are going to log it to the console.log error. Okay, what's wrong? uh, let's wrap this in fragments. Okay, uh, let's go ahead and wrap this as well, and I guess now we are fine. Yeah, there we go. So if the state of is loading is true, then we are going to show an h1 tag with the loading. So if there's any error, so we just log that error to the console, or what we can just do is we can just display on the screen itself. So we can just type in div, and then we can just type in so this error itself. Okay, so if we log it to the console, it has a property of error dot data dot message. Okay, or if that is not there, then we are going to use the error dot error. Okay, so so if for some reason if it doesn't exist, let's use optional chaining. Okay, so that it doesn't break our application, and the same for this. All right, so only thing is we just need to close this div tag. Yeah, so that's done, and now let's go ahead and test it out. Okay, so everything is good. So now let's open up our terminal and start our server. Okay, you can see we have all of the products. Now let's open up our console, and let's have a look at the dev tools. Okay, we don't have any errors, so that's good. Let's go to our Redux dev tools, and let's see the various requests that it made. You see we have this that is a middleware that has been configured first, and this is something which got fulfilled. Okay, so the query. Okay, so you can just have a look. Okay, so this was a thing that actually happened when we mounted this component on to our web page. Okay, so it instantly made a request to a backend and then fetched all of the products. All right, so you see, you can just go to your Redux DevTools and have a look, and you can just get to know what is actually happening behind the scenes. All right, so now let's do the same for the single product. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and take this as a challenge, you can just go ahead and do it. It's nothing fancy. If you just have a look, you can just figure things out. Okay, so I'll be going ahead and doing it. Okay, so now let's go to our products API slice and create an endpoint for that, and that is, let's name it get product details. Okay, and again, this is going to take in the builder.query, since again we are making a query and not a mutation. All right, later we'll be making a mutation for passing any data. All right, so now let's pass in the query. Okay, and now we will be receiving the product ID, okay, from this whichever where we are importing in our product screen. Okay, there we'll be getting the product ID. Okay, we'll be passing it in. Okay, so let's receive the product ID. Okay, now let's send in the URL, and I'm going to use a template string. All right, so that I can put in things dynamically. So we have the product URL, and I'm going to append the product ID. All right, slash, and then the product ID. Okay, so that's done, and we are going to use the same one. Okay, so that if any time our component mounts or unmounts, then we can use the cached value. Okay, so now let's go ahead and export this. So get product details query. Okay, so you get a suggestions, okay, in that drop down list. So let's save this, and let's go to our product screen. Okay, again, let's get rid of all of this that we used to manually do. Okay, so except the use params hook, so we can get rid of the state and this use effect. Now let's bring in few things from the Redux, sorry, the from this. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it here. Let's first of all import it. Okay, now let's destructure data, and I'm just going to call it product. All right, and now let's also get in the is loading state. Okay, and the error, and that is coming from use get product details query. And now we need to pass in the ID. Okay, so let's pass in the ID. So we can also call this product ID. Okay, so in order to make it explicit, so I can just rename this as product ID, like that, and or I can just do it like this. Okay, pass in the ID, product ID. Okay, so now let's go ahead and handle this. Okay, now let's collapse this and cut. Okay, not cut, let's open up our expression, and let's set our state like is loading. If it is loading, then let's show h1 tag with loading, and then if there is any error. Okay, so then we are going to again do the same thing. Let's actually copy it and paste. Okay, this thing, let's paste in here, and if everything goes well, then we are going to put this in. Okay, so that's done. Now let's have a look. Okay, so let's get rid of axios. Okay, we don't need that anymore, and also this, actually we don't need even react. Okay, so everything is connected in the root. All right, so everything is done, and now let's go ahead and test this out. Okay, so I'm just going to close this and click on a product. Okay, so it seems like there's an error, so let's have a look. So to fix this, we need to go to our product component, and this time it is underscore id and not just id. Okay, so so this underscore id is coming from the database, and we are no more taking it from our products.js file, right? So we need to change that. This actually took me a while to figure this out, why the specific product page is not rendering. Now let's have a look. uh, let's close this, and yeah, so everything is working fine. For a flash you can just see the loading state. Okay, I let me just refresh, and you can just see the loading for a millisecond. Okay, so that's basically when the state when this details actually is actually being fetched. So so that we can later import a spinner instead of just the loading text. Okay, so we can just do that. So we can go to our dev tools and have a look, and we can see the queries that has been made. Okay, so we can just see the status is fulfilled, and we get all of this details about the request that has been made. So all of this is coming from Redux toolkit. Okay, so Redux toolkit query, in a sense. All right, and one more mistake I did is I need to wrap this in an expression. Okay, so that we get the value as an expression, and let's do the same for the home screen. Okay, so my bad. Okay, so we can remove this as well. Okay, so yeah, we are done. So in the next video we'll be replacing this loading component. So we are going to we are going to bring a spinner component. Okay, we are going to install a package for that, so that we can bring in some real actual loader, so that it can have a good user experience instead of just showing this generic loading message. And also we are going to install React Toastify, so that we can show up any toast messages. So let's say if a user entered password which is wrong, just say that credentials that were entered are wrong, or something like that. We can also display errors also like this. All right, so let's go ahead and do that next.